July 29th, 2025, 9:37 p.m. The calm night over Honolulu shattered in an instant. From Waikik to Hilo, the deep, haunting wail of tsunami sirens cut through the warm air, echoing off high-rises and cliffs. Phones buzzed violently in pockets and on nightstands. Tsunami warning. Seek higher ground. Minutes earlier, a seismic monster had erupted in the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, far across the Pacific. But its shockwave wasn't stopping there. It was now racing beneath the ocean's skin toward the Hawaiian Islands. No one knew the exact size of what was coming. Would it be a harmless swell? Or a roaring wall of water capable of swallowing whole streets? But the numbers told a darker truth. In living rooms, people stared at the alerts in disbelief. In control rooms, officials locked eyes over fresh data. Out at sea, invisible forces were already moving. And somewhere in the dark, between panic and silence, Hawaii's fate was being decided, one wave at a time. For many in Hawaii, tsunami warnings carry ghosts of the past. Some remember March 2011, watching in horror as Japan's coastline was devoured in minutes. Knowing a similar wave could one day find its way here. Others think back to January 2018, when a false ballistic missile alert sent the islands into chaos. More recently, on July 30th of last year, an advisory had stirred panic only to be lifted hours later. Those memories of past alerts cut both ways, stirring fear in some and dangerous doubt in others. Tonight, there was no room for hesitation. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center hadn't issued a watch or advisory. This was a full warning. Sirens wailed over the roar of car engines. Families packed in minutes, some with go bags, others with nothing but the clothes on their backs. One woman ran barefoot, clutching her toddler. An old fisherman grabbed his radio and nothing else. Yet for every car heading uphill, there was someone still scrolling for confirmation, wasting precious minutes they didn't have. If the wave was coming, it wouldn't wait. As panic spread, so did misinformation. Social media flooded with conflicting claims, waves hitting Waikik, blurry flood footage from months-old storms, and voices dismissing it all as a false alarm. But official channels told a different story.
Full people trying to move. We ask you to stay calm, cooperate, and get to high ground.
We decided to go to elevated ground, and it's kind of just where it's taken us so far. We've passed a couple other gas stations that you can't even get in them.
The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center's Bulletin Number 1 pinpointed the quake's origin and projected wave arrival times. HIEMA pushed evacuation alerts statewide. The USGS confirmed a magnitude 8.8 quake, shallow, powerful, and capable of shifting an ocean. This wasn't hearsay. Updates came minute by minute, each time stamped.
So far, we have not seen a wave of consequence, which is great relief to us.
Hours earlier, a tsunami more than a foot high was detected in over a dozen parts of Japan. Officials warned bigger waves are possible. Some people sought safety on the tops of buildings.
Models showed the first surges could reach Hawaiian shores between 10:50 p.m. and 11:20 p.m., less than an hour to get to safety. Somewhere across the Black Pacific, the ocean was already moving. Whether it would creep in quietly or roar ashore as a deadly surge was still unknown. Hours earlier, beneath the icy waters of the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, the earth had snapped. Seismic sensors lit up worldwide, a rupture more than 200 miles long, displacing billions of tons of seawater in seconds. The USGS feed confirmed it. Magnitude 8.8, shallow depth, epicenter at a notorious tsunami hotspot. Minutes later came the PTWC's urgent message: a tsunami has been generated. Estimated wave arrival to Hawaii, 10:50 p.m. to 11:20 p.m. Evacuate coastal zones immediately. This was no drill. Models were precise enough to trigger a full-scale response. County emergency crews mobilized instantly, opening shelters, clearing roads, and activating sirens across every island. The clock was ticking, and the Pacific was on its way. But deep beneath the ocean, unseen to anyone on land, the true nature of this event was still unfolding. Undersea landslides could amplify the waves. Aftershocks could send secondary surges. And as the Pacific carried this force closer to Hawaii's shores, the question hanging over everyone's head was no longer if a wave was coming, but how many.
It felt kind of like ignorant, I feel like. If they didn't have a car, they didn't have anywhere to go, I understand that, but the whole like cheering and everything, that was kind of weird.
No one knew if the first shadow would be the last. 30 minutes into the warning, the air over the islands was thick with urgency. PTWC's Bulletin Number 2 refined the models. Projected wave heights for most Hawaiian shorelines were 3 to 6 feet, with the chilling caveat: harbors and bays could funnel water to nearly double that. On Oahu, harbor cams still showed deceptively calm water under a pale moon. But officials repeated a warning veterans of past tsunamis knew well: it will look calm until it doesn't. Tsunami waves don't always announce themselves with towering walls. They can begin as a sudden, violent shift in the waterline, or a rapid, unnatural withdrawal that exposes the seabed. Then came the first sign it was real. Tide gauges at Midway Atoll, 1,300 miles northwest of Honolulu, detected a measurable surge, smaller than worst-case forecasts, but still significant. That meant the wave was moving exactly as predicted and closing in.
The local government made sure to get everybody the notices that they needed in a good timely manner.
Traffic updates painted a tense picture: H-1 jammed westbound, H-2 crawling north. Shelters in schools and community centers filled quickly. But deep in the data stream, analysts spotted something troubling: secondary spikes following the initial surge at Midway. It wasn't just one clean wave heading for Hawaii. It was a pulse, a series of disturbances that could arrive in unpredictable patterns. With less than 20 minutes until the earliest predicted impact, Hawaii's emergency network hammered out the same life-saving commands: short, sharp, and non-negotiable. Each was born from bitter history, carved from tragedies where seconds meant the difference between safety and disaster. Stay away. The first wave rarely kills alone. It always brings a second. Go inland and uphill, now. Don't wait to see the wave. The first surge is silent until it's too late. Stay off bridges and coastal highways. In 1946, these became deadly choke points, swept away in minutes. Avoid beaches and seawalls. Some waves begin as a strange stillness, followed by a sudden roar. Keep roads clear for emergency crews. An ambulance delayed by one car could mean a life lost. Carry only essentials: water, ID, medication. Everything else can be replaced. You cannot. Rely on radios, not rumors. Phones jam, but a battery-powered FM can save you when the network dies. Do not return after the first wave. The most lethal strikes often come hours later. Secure pets now. In panic, animals run toward danger. Hold them close. Check on neighbors, if it's safe. A quick knock could be the only warning they get. At 10:35 p.m., tide gauges at French Frigate Shoals picked up the incoming pulse, stronger than the Midway readings. That meant one thing: the ocean's hand was already reaching for Hawaii, and it was stronger than first thought. The countdown was nearly over. Across the islands, people stood in parking lots on high ground, huddled in shelters, or sat in their cars on mountain roads, listening. Some stared at the dark ocean in the distance, waiting for a sign. Others couldn't see the water at all, only the glow of city lights below them. On the PTWC feed, the arrival window narrowed. First wave impact possible in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. That's all the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center gave. French Frigate Shoals data refreshed, showing an unmistakable rise. The pulse was here, but it was still unclear. Would it be a harmless swell that dissipated, or the beginning of a nightmare?
3 hours before wave arrival, 2 hours before wave arrival, 1 hour before wave arrival, and 30 minutes before expected wave arrival. Again, that's arrival time for Kauai, which is usually about 10-ish minutes before Oahu.
Sirens faded, replaced by the eerie quiet of thousands holding their breath. Radios crackled, bulletins updated. and emergency crews tightened their grip on radios and steering wheels. The unknown was seconds away from revealing itself. The ocean was moving. But how fast? If you're watching this now, don't guess, don't gamble. If you are in a coastal zone, stay where you are if you've already reached safety. If you haven't, move now. Follow official channels. Stay tuned until the all clear is issued. Tonight, the Pacific is reminding us of a truth Hawaii has always known. Paradise lives on the edge of power that can take everything in a heartbeat. And as the first shadow of the wave touches Hawaiian waters, tonight, the Pacific writes its own ending, and no one knows who will be left to read it.